Hey everyone, and welcome to today's midweek vlog. So I want to talk to you about something that occurred a few weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago I received an email from Copart. Didn't think nothing of it, had the title opportunity, and I figured it was just some marketing email. I was out and about at the time, so when I was going through my emails in the evening, I then saw this opportunity email, had a look at it, and it was then that I noticed that this wasn't the normal marketing email that the company sent out. This was an email from one of Copart's directors. Say what? Immediately, a million things start to go through your mind. Are they upset with the videos I've done? Yes, they probably were. Are they now going to, get upset from the point of view of suing me? I don't know. So, 1,000 things go through your mind when you see those emails, and I figured, you know what, best thing to do, just read the email. So I had a look at it, and in the email, it spoke about an opportunity, just that, an opportunity. And without going through this email for word, basically it was from a director who had seen some of my videos and was actually quite a fan, and said that, he would like to have a chat to see if we can do some work with Copart. And so immediately I thought, well, yeah, absolutely. So we exchanged a couple of emails, and then we had a meeting via Zoom where we kind of decided to try and put the world to rights. And it was a really encouraging email, because in this email, here was a man who'd been employed by Copart as a director of the business to try and change the perception. Now, when a company like Copart, a large company like Copart, respond positively to feedback, and not necessarily the feedback from my channel, in fact it wasn't my channel, but obviously this director saw the feedback from you, and also things like Trustpilot. I mean, just look at those Trustpilot scores. You kind of get to understand that this is a business that wants to change, and change has to come from the top. Having worked for an enterprise business myself, it can be very difficult to make those changes unless it's been driven from the top. And Copart have had a good long look at themselves and decided, you know what, we need to make some changes. Now, what's driven this change from Copart? Well, let's take a look at some history. So Copart historically has been a business that has dealt predominantly with the trade. So the trade come in, they buy a car, they take it as it is and deal with it. In that line of business, there's not much comeback unless it's a complete disaster. You'll basically buy what you see and you're getting into it. It's a bit like if you go to an auction. If you buy a car from an auction like BCA, you get literally a couple of hours to take a look at the vehicle and find any major defects that would warrant you giving the car back. Otherwise, it's your problem. That's the way the trade have dealt with these matters for many, many years, and that's worked. And Copart, if you think about the old days of breaker yards, when I was young, you used to be able to go to a breaker yard and you used to be able to find the bit that you wanted yourself on a stack of cars that were 5 cars high, and you balance yourself precariously at the top of those 5 stacked cars and extracted the piece that you want, brought it to the counter, and then they would work out a price, usually a price that they made up and pulled from the air. Those days are long gone with the establishment of health and safety and the numerous incidents that have happened. The whole recycling vehicle breakers yard have completely changed, and as a result, a lot of breaker yards just don't exist anymore because they couldn't comply with a lot of the European legislation that came into place to clean up the business. So that meant that businesses like Copart that arisen from the ashes, and Copart wasn't originally a US business that came over to the UK and other areas and have introduced their VB salvage auction tool, and it's revolutionized the auction buying scene. They have really established themselves as a kingpin, top of the food chain, so to speak, in terms of what they do and deliver. But of course that has created a bit of a problem, because the trade have predominantly been buying cars from Copart for many years, and if you've been to a Copart yard, you will see vehicles that come in from Central Europe, you know, Poland, Lithuania. They come and buy cars, break them, and then sell them. That's worked. But in recent years, Copart have started to interest people like you and me, general public, who are looking for a bargain or to buy a car that they would normally not be able to afford for a discount, do them up, put them on the road, keep them for themselves. That has largely come from our US counterparts, people like B's for Bill, Sam Crack and Travage, who have made the series of buying salvage cars really popular, and that's just spread like wildfire. And in the UK, many people have done the same, and people like myself, Salvage Rebuilds UK, and a few others have also jumped on the YouTube bandwagon, so to speak, and you guys are watching the end product. So what has that created for Copart? It's created a bit of a problem, and that problem is that they're just not built, or haven't been in the past built, to cope with the domestic market. So when people come along and buy their vehicles, they're expecting to be honoured by the Credit Consumer Act, or you know, the Consumer Act. When you buy a good, if it's faulty, you can bring it back, and that world just doesn't exist to the extent that it does in the Marks and Spencers and the, you know, any other high street chain. And it's kind of caught Copart out by surprise. Anyway, that's the history, and that's where we are, and that's why we are where we are. So a lot of those Trustpilot scores, and this is me in no way defending Copart, if you look at the actual cases, you will see that in a lot of those individual cases that Copart, that the person hasn't done their due diligence. Just like we've been trying to educate you with our videos that you need to do your due diligence, it's very clear that that person didn't. That's not to say that Copart haven't made blunders themselves, and that clearly is a case, but you know, it's a 50-50. Anyway, so after we had this conversation, myself and this director, and I'm not going to name him at this stage, I really saw that actually this business wants to change, and it's looking at ways of doing that. And the best way, or one of the ways it's looking at, is using a social media platform like ours here to be able to do that. So after the conversation and subsequent conversations that we've had, we've kind of come to agreement that this channel, and maybe others, Copart would like to use to really get its message out that it's changing. Now, how does that work? And this is very important, because I can hear you all now, whoa, what do you mean? Does that mean that you're going to be owned by Copart and they're going to, you know, you're going to sell them out and tell us, oh, that they're a great company? No, that's not the agreement that we've got in place. What Copart want to do is they want to educate you with some of the new services that they are introducing. And the best way to do that is to use influencers on YouTube who have a good handle of Copart, that they can help you, the viewing public, to be able to understand these new services. Now, in the past, when I've done this, I have told you about how to use certain Copart services. I've done that based on my experience, not from Copart telling me this is how this service works. So it's kind of a third of the understanding, if that makes sense. So basically, this is my experience, so, and this works for me, so therefore why don't you give that a try. That's the kind of level of education that you've got. The plan with this relationship that I'm going to have with Copart is that I'm going to get that inside information of actually how this works and the whole holistic journey, rather than just part of it. And what that means for you is that you'll get all the information, all the background information within reason, that you can then understand a process. And we're also going to talk about, from a new point of view, the new services they're going to offer you. You're going to be able to understand why Copart are doing it, so that it makes it very clear that there's no sort of underhand scamming going on. And I think that's the right way to do this, and to do it any other way would compromise the value that this channel has brought to you and what you have come to expect. So anyway, enough waffling. In a nutshell, this is how the relationship is going to work. So basically, Copart will introduce new services. I'm going to educate you what those new services are, how to use them, how to benefit from them. That way you can then have a clear understanding of what these services are. Some of the old services that Copart have, I'm going to update all my videos so that once I quiz and basically understand it fully from Copart's point of view how to use that, I will then pass it on to yourselves. And that's really how the relationship will work. I'm hoping that Copart will allow me to do some walkarounds, like some we used to in the early days when I started to do the videos. And there's some other ideas that we're working on in the background. All of these ideas are designed to give you information on how the Copart brand works, and in turn Copart will get your feedback and they will make a better service. Now you got to understand that when you're a business the size of Copart, and this is not me defending Copart, by the way, this is me telling you how it is, having worked for an enterprise business, that change doesn't happen overnight. Don't expect to go into a Copart center and expect everything to be perfect and you to get wonderful customer service and people to be waiting there for you at your beck and call like you would do if you went into, I don't know, some other retail outlet that specializes in that. Copart have a lot of work to change that, but with feedback from their audience, this audience, and other channels, Copart will eventually make those changes that will improve. I think the message that you have to take away from this, if there's one message here, that Copart is hearing your response and they want to change. And that for me has to be a good thing. Yes, Copart are probably one of the biggest, if not they are the biggest in the UK when it comes to the salvage brand and their engine, but really they've done that with the success of people buying from them, and they want to maintain that, and the only way that they can see to do that, especially with this new market that they've got, is by improving the services that they offer and the service that they get back to you. And like I said, that's going to take time, but they're going to do that. So I will welcome your feedback, and no doubt even as I speak now you're frantically typing away. But the main message here is that this channel will not change. Copart have no interest in influencing what comes out in this channel in terms of you must dictating what I say. They are purely interested in you having all the facts on the new services and the improved services that they're going to offer. That's how this relationship works, and I think if you sit down and honestly think about it, that's exactly what you want as a viewing public. So the first of those videos will hopefully be released on Friday, and it's going to be talking about a new service that Copart is introducing, and I'm going to give you some visual displays as well out of that, like I've done in the past, you know, when we go through auctions, etc. So I look forward to your comments. That's going to be very interesting, so don't forget to comment down here, folks. And we will look forward to that. So all I have to say is thank you for viewing. Don't forget to subscribe if you're a casual subscriber, because from this relationship lots of things are going to come, and yes, we are going to be buying cars from Copart. I always wanted to buy cars from Copart in recent times. It's just that they've just not been cheap enough, but I haven't stopped buying cars from Copart, so please don't think that I haven't, because I haven't been there for a while. It's just yeah, I will be buying cars from Copart, and that's not as a result of this relationship either. So there you go. So subscribe, give us a like, thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that notification button as well. And also, one of the things I wanted to say just before we go is that we have our Amazon store below. You see the link. Every tool that I use I put in that Amazon store, and I've just done a recent refresh, so have a browse and have a look, and basically use it as a shortcut to finding the tools that you want, because I get a lot of comments from you guys asking me about that. Good. So we will see you hopefully on Friday, and then we'll be doing a review of a new service that Copart are offering, and we will see you then. So enjoy the rest of your week.